Okay, diving right in today. We're tackling how your childhood, all those early experiences stick with you and actually shape how you make financial decisions today, even now.
It's pretty amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, and you sent over some really interesting stuff about this. And well, our mission, I guess you could say, for this deep dive is to figure out the main ways those childhood experiences, yours specifically, have shaped how you handle money today.
Hmm.
Your behaviors, your beliefs, all of that.
Right, exactly.
Sure.
Like we're trying to uncover like almost like a hidden program running in the background influencing your whole financial life.
I like that, yeah. Okay, so let's start with this idea of money scripts, right?
Right.
The stuff you sent talked about these as like these almost automatic beliefs about money that we don't even realize we have. Like they form when we're kids. So, for example, did you grow up, I don't know, in a family where saving every penny was like the most important thing?
Yeah.
That could create this really strong script in you, like to be super frugal, even as an adult.
Absolutely. And it's not just about being careful, That early scripting, it could even make you avoid spending money when you really need to, like out of fear. It's pretty interesting how these scripts work. On the flip side, if you grew up in a place where money always seemed to be there, well, you might end up, overspending without even realizing it and not really making a detailed budget or anything. It just seems normal.
Right.
It makes you think, like, what were the unspoken money rules when you were a kid? Do you remember?
Yeah, that's a good question. And it goes even deeper than the rules, right? Because your material also talks about how watching our parents, seeing how they react emotionally to money, well, that creates these impressions on us too. They're almost like emotional imprints. Like, let's say you saw your parents, getting super anxious every time they had to pay bills.
Hmm.
That could actually make you feel uneasy too whenever you have to deal with financial stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like, think about it. Imagine a kid seeing their parent freak out when they lose their job.
Mm-hmm.
That could make them like go into almost an emergency mode, right? About any money problem later on, even if it's just a small thing, like a little unexpected expense. It feels huge. But then on the other hand, if you grow up seeing your parents make money decisions in a calm way, really thinking things through, well, that can give you a sense of security. Like, okay, I can handle this.
Yeah.
It's all about control. So I'm curious, when you were growing up, what were the main feelings, the vibes around money in your family?
That's a good question. It makes me think about, well, we'll save that for later. But taking a step back, your sources also talk about how it's not just your family. It's also about the bigger picture, like the socioeconomic environment you grew up in, and even the culture around money in those early years.
Right, exactly. So let's say your childhood was, in a place where everyone was struggling
Mhm.
financially or things just felt really unstable. That could make you, develop this scarcity mindset that sticks with you. And that might affect how you handle money even today. Like you might be afraid to take risks or always worried about not having enough, things like that. But then, if you grew up when and where things were good, like there was abundance all around, you might feel differently about financial security, right? Like your assumptions are different. So it's really interesting to think about how that environment, the one you grew up in, shaped your expectations around money and how comfortable you feel with it all.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's like this really powerful picture of how, well, the past shapes who we are today, financially speaking. But one of the biggest takeaways from the stuff you sent, and this is really important, is that it doesn't have to stay that way. Like we can change, right? We can actually rewrite our money story.
Exactly. That's the key. Like once you understand how those early influences are shaping you,
Yeah.
you can start to change things.
Yeah.
And, the sources you said, they actually suggest some ways to do that. Like self-reflection is one, like maybe journaling about your early memories around money.
Mm-hmm.
That can help you see the patterns, the beliefs that are driving your behavior. And then financial education.